And for those of you listening here on 5 Live Sports Extra, welcome to the Emirates Stadium on a night of UEFA Champions League football. And here, Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen go again a week on from their 1-1 draw in Germany in the round of 16. There is smoke in the air, we've had the pyrotechnics, as is the standard really for big European nights. We have fireworks ejecting out of the top of all sections of the Emirates Stadium as the players emerge from the tunnel onto the pitch. And this, Matt Upson, is beginning to feel like it could be a really significant season for Arsenal. I think we had a few technical issues trying to hear you there, Matt, but we've got you now, and that's the main thing.
There we are. Good. No, I think this evening will be very difficult for Arsenal. I think they just had a bit of a shock to the system out in Leverkusen about how well they moved the ball and how good a team this Leverkusen team is. So to be honest, it's like a little wake-up call to then come home and go, right, we've got to be at our best. We've got to really hit them hard. I think Arsenal will start very early, really quick in the early first 10 minutes, and we'll have to see how Leverkusen cope with that.
The two teams are in their pre-match huddles right now ahead of kick-off, though neither of them are on the halfway line. Both are keeping a respectable distance from one another at the Emirates Stadium. Let me give you the team news for both, because for Arsenal, 4 changes from that very late win here against Everton at the weekend, 2 from their Champions League round of 16 game at Bayer Leverkusen a week ago. So the 4 changes from the victory against Everton: in come White, Nkapie, Trossard and Gyökeres, and out go Timber, who got injured in that game, Calafiori, Madueke and Havertz. So Arsenal in full, Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Nkapie, and then Zubimendi and Rice, which has been the go-to midfield really for Arsenal for a number of weeks now. Saka, Eza and Trossard, and Gyökeres leading the line, who of course essentially before that Max Dowman magic was the one who first rescued that situation against Everton in the Premier League here on Saturday night. And Arsenal going from left to right in this first half get us underway with Declan Rice going all the way back to David Raya, to a roar inside the Emirates at kick-off. And for Bayer Leverkusen in all blue, which is not the same kit they were wearing last week, they were in black with the red trim a week ago, it is the same 11 that lined up for that 1-1 draw. So Yanis Blaszczak in goal, Gerald Quansah, the former Liverpool defender, Robert Andrich, who got that goal last week to give Bayer Leverkusen the lead, and Edmund Tapsoba in defence, and then Perku, Palacios, Garcia and Grimaldo in midfield, as the ball is nodded back to Blaszczak, the Leverkusen goalkeeper, and then Ibrahim Mazza and Martin Terrier behind Christian Kafane, the young Cameroon international, who, Matt, you were really impressed with a week ago.
I think he did that well in the game last week that Schlick played against Bayern Munich at the weekend in the Bundesliga, and the manager's put him in again a second time against Arsenal. I mean, here he is on the ball again. Physically, Chris, to be honest, for a 19-year-old, the way he leads that line, he's got some presence, young Kafane, and he really did pose Gabriel and Saliba some serious questions.
So here's Perku down the right-hand side for Bayer Leverkusen, and back it comes to Andrich wearing the captain's armband, that fluorescent armband wrapped around his left bicep, goes short to Tapsoba. This is Terrier running with a bit of purpose towards the edge of Arsenal's penalty area. To the right hand side is Perku, who's now inside the gunner's box. He shifts it back 10 yards just so they can rebuild again. This is a good start by Bayer Leverkusen, and Kafane was the one who tacked that on the edge of the 6-yard box, the cross on the right hand side, and Saliba heads it away, and Bayer Leverkusen have got a corner inside the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, top defensive header as well from Saliba, does really well. Bright start from Leverkusen, showed how well they can move the ball. Cross comes into the box, Kafane throwing everything at it, but Saliba matches him, gets his body across, really good header, puts it out for a corner.
Well, that's exactly what you were talking about, really, in terms of the presence of Christian Kofane.
Oh, definitely. He's got serious presence for a young centre forward. Don't know if he can finish or what he's like in front of goal, but in terms of working it, he's really good.
Here comes the corner in swinger towards that near post, headed away. It's gone back out to where it was initially delivered from for Bayer Leverkusen, who have got Arsenal slightly on the back foot in this first couple of minutes. That cross is closed down, deflects to the edge of the penalty area where Garcia picks it up and he goes back to Poku, and Bayer Leverkusen are going to be forced all the way back to the halfway line here, but they're the ones who have had the bulk of the possession in the first 3 minutes at the Emirates. Remember, 1-1 from that first leg a week ago. Andrich gave Bayer Leverkusen the lead with a header immediately after half-time from a corner. Not often Arsenal concede from corners. No. And then, of course, we had that late Kai Havertz penalty to rescue the day for the Gunners.
Yeah, a little bit of a dubious call, you'd say, on the penalty. I mean, there was contact, but Madueke knew exactly what he was doing, and I see it as that he won that penalty as opposed to Bayer Leverkusen gave it away. But I was seriously concerned when that goal went in. I just couldn't see Arsenal create anything. They didn't look particularly potent on the night, and I feel Saka's got to have a good game tonight. He could do with a bit of a boost, really, and be really influential in this match.
There's Declan Rice just rolling his foot over the ball, 15 yards inside Bayer Leverkusen's half. Saliba's a little further forward than usual, and he's the one who's sent it right-footed to this right-hand side for Bukayo Saka with the bright pink boots on. Back in field for Saliba again, collected by Gabriel, and now Arsenal working the ball around nicely. Out on the left wing currently with Trossard, and back it goes to Gabriel, and I think they'll relish the fact that they can get a feel of the ball on this Champions League round of 16 night. And of course there's two other English teams playing tonight as well. Manchester City at home to Real Madrid, 3-0 down from the first leg. That's live on 5 Live for you this evening, and we'll have updates of Chelsea against Paris Saint-Germain, who are also trying to overturn a 3-goal deficit from their first leg in the French capital last week, as Ibrahim Mazza, the young Algerian, runs it out of play halfway inside his own half on this near right side. Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0.
Yeah, nice to see Arsenal get just a bit of the ball, actually. I would be surprised if Leverkusen do have their lion's share of possession in this game. Not that Arsenal will be too fussed.
Here's Saka into the box for Gyökeres. He's got it back to goal, but he's used his feet really well. The big Swede in Arsenal's forward line, and the ball's bounced back to him again, and then it's gone to Saka in the box, and Andrich is hurrying around to try and win it back for Leverkusen, which he's been able to do. And now they've got an outlet on this left-hand side with Mazza, but he can't find the pass that Kofane wanted.
He's got to play it early. It's a fantastic run. Kofane was in down the channel, and he will look to run those channels all evening. Certainly on Gabriel's side, I think you feel that he's got the better of him.
So this is the team at the top of the Premier League right now, 9 points clear Arsenal after all that late drama at the weekend with the win here against Everton, and then Manchester City, of course, dropping points against West Ham United. And Bayer Leverkusen 6th in the Bundesliga in Germany, 5 points off the top 3, but they're certainly not going to be in with a shout of winning the league again, because they are 22 points right now behind Bayern Munich. But they did draw 1-1 with Bayern at the weekend in a game which saw the Bundesliga leaders finish with 9 men.
It's a bit of a tall order though, isn't it? 20 something points.
Just a bit.
It's probably a bit.
Had 2 former Premier League strikers get sent off in that game as well.
I saw
Nicholas Jackson and Luis Diaz.
Quite late on as well, wasn't it? But a really good point for Leverkusen. It just shows you, like, they're almost kind of, they're punching above their weight, really, aren't they? For size of club and budget, they're a really well organised team, and obviously had recent massive success with Xabi Alonso. But I have to say, Kasper Hummelen has come along and really, he's doing a fantastic job with this group of players. Yeah,
the Dane who was a bit of an emergency appointment, really, given that it all went wrong very early on for Erik ten Hag in his
but he's done well,
first
hasn't
few
he?
games.
Very well.
Has. So Arsenal building from the back, and the ball out to this right-hand side for Ben White, one of the Arsenal changes from the weekend. I imagine that had Jurrien Timber been fit, he would have been in that Arsenal 11 tonight, but we'll be hoping to have him back for the League Cup final against Manchester City at the weekend, as they might have Martin Ødegaard available for that first piece of major silverware of the season, which we'll have live for you on 5 Live on Sunday. 4:30 kick-off, Arsenal against Manchester City. One ball forward from Saliba, looking for Gyökeres, and just seen out of it by Andrich. Uses his body well, and the ball bounces through to Blažević.
He just manoeuvred him, didn't he? Got his body in the way. It's a very experienced defender, Andrich. Scored in the first leg and is the heart of that back three, really.
Early goal in one of the other Champions League games tonight involving the English teams, and it is not good news for Chelsea. Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain, the champions 1. Feature Kvaratskhelia scored 6 minutes in, and it is 6-2 now on aggregate, as Saka, working on this right-hand side, gets the corner out of the very experienced Alex Grimaldo. So the first Arsenal corner of the night, 0-0.
Yeah, Pat Nevin will be happy that his favourite players scored. Kvaratskhelia, even though he's at Stamford Bridge and obviously wanting Chelsea to do well, but he'll be happy with that. But Saka, for the first time, has had a little 1v1, hasn't he, on this right-hand side. He's won a corner, and you can tell by the crowd here, the anticipation around these corners at the Emirates are big, given their goal-scoring record this season.
Yeah, nobody does set pieces better than them in 2025-26. So what will this one bring? Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Live on 5 Live tonight and on BBC Sounds. Bukayo Saka in towards that near post. Oh, that was a chance as well. Gabriel cantered onto that. He was inside the 6-yard box, though, slightly in front of that near post, and he heads wide.
And it was a little bit low, wasn't it? A fraction low, the ball. It went over the first man in the near post, but then it dipped over his head, and Gabriel was stooping to try and head it in. I think had it been a bit higher, you could have maybe got a glancing head on it. It would have been big trouble. It comes off his left shoulder in the end, but great run from him. I mean, is there anyone better at attacking the ball from set plays than Gabriel? I just think he's fantastic at it.
Only 3 appearances away from his 250th game for Arsenal. Now, what an amazing signing he's been. £27 million they paid for to get him from Lille, and it just feels like that is one of the greatest piece of businesses the club perhaps has ever done.
Heck of a signing, he really is. And you know, we talk about what he brings on the pitch, but his presence and his leadership qualities now, he's grown into this team. He's such a big figure at the back there, and to have Saliba, you know, slightly younger player playing alongside him as a combination, they're just absolutely top class.
Forward it goes from Tapsoba, the lean by Leverkusen defender, held up well by Kafane and picked up on this left wing by Meza, who has run forward a good 20 yards. He's almost on the edge of Arsenal's penalty area now, and he tees it up for the shot from Palacios, which is repelled by Arsenal's back line, and then the ball back in field by Garcia is intercepted again, but that's a little threat on Arsenal's box, isn't it, there?
Again, Kafane as well, his hold-up play and the way he sets that ball to Meza to then run down the channel is absolutely exceptional. I just fear for Leverkusen they haven't quite got that cutting edge, that real piece of quality in front of goal to hurt Arsenal. I think that's going to be their biggest problem. They're going to get in good positions, create good situations, but finding that final piece of the jigsaw is the problem, and that's probably where that investment, where the money is, you know, but buying those players that are able to make things happen.
Another potential move for the Germans breaks down with a misplaced pass by Garcia, and Arsenal quickly move it towards Gyökeres, moving into the Bayer Leverkusen penalty area, and it was the backtracking Ezequiel Palacios, the Argentine World Cup winner, who touches it behind for another Arsenal corner, 0-0.
Yeah, down the left-hand side this time, Gyökeres. Well, we talked about Kafane wanting to run in behind the centre-backs. Gyökeres will do it all night as well. He's on the left channel. Thought he might cut inside onto his right foot for a shot, but decides to go onto his left, crosses the ball. It wasn't the best of crosses, but ricochets off for another corner.
And in our commentary position tonight for 5 Live, we're very low down in the stand, aren't we? So we've got a really good view of this just over to our right-hand side. We can see all the Arsenal numbers as Declan Rice raises his arm in the air, corner from the left in towards that near post. The header is half away, picked up again, and back it goes to Rice on the left, and then Eza chips it up towards the far post, a little too high for Gabriel, who gave it everything he could to get there, and it's perhaps an inch or two over his head.
Are you having a look at the Leverkusen? It must be their set-piece coach that comes off the bench from those corners. I mean, he is right on the edge of that technical area, bellowing instructions. I'm not too sure how much you can hear with the Emirates crowd chanting, you know, to pick up a man from that kind of distance, but he's certainly up and out of his seat every time there's a corner.
They put a great social media post out yesterday by Leverkusen. I don't know if you saw this, Matt, where they basically used AI to remove the quadrants from the corner here at the Emirates Stadium, and said this will do nicely tonight. It was like a rounded off corner. And here they come. on the edge of Arsenal's penalty area by Leverkusen with Terrier, but he felt like he didn't have too many options on there, so he went backwards.
Can you get a round corner? Is that
just rounding off the corner, so there's no quadrant, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A shout of Arsenalers. Poker from the right-hand side, feigns to go left and then he goes right. That's good work from him. He's taken a tumble. He is deemed to have lost his footing because the referee, who by the way tonight is Danny Macchielli, the Dutchman who's very experienced, didn't see any contact there and is out for a Bayer Leverkusen throw on the right, just inside Arsenal's half. Danny Macchielli, by the way, who was the referee for England's Euro 2020 semi-final against Denmark.
I know the name. Now you said it and I saw it on the team sheet. It does come back to me.
And the reason that's relevant tonight is because Kasper Hjulmand, the Bayer Leverkusen head coach, was of course the Danish national team coach for that game. Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Here is Alex Grimaldo, 100th career European appearance for him tonight, just to give you an idea of the levels of experience that he carries. Of course, a European Championship winner with Spain in 2024. He was part of that squad. Here he is again on the left-hand side, looking over the top for Kafane. Out comes Raya, and he makes it his, just on the angle of his penalty area.
Yeah, I think the assistant had his arm up as if to say he was offside on that run, but you know, it's a dangerous little part of what Leverkusen bring. When the ball's in wide areas and the run from Kafane wants to time it in behind, they'll look to hit that early, and then they've just dropped straight back into shape now. That back three with the two wing backs, two midfield players in Palacios and Garcia really do get after the ball. They're an organised team.
Chipped forward down the left-hand side by Grimaldo, but all of this happening inside the Bayer Leverkusen half, and then a coming together between Grimaldo and White. Throwing given to Arsenal, but Bayer Leverkusen have given it away, and then Trossard shoots low with his left foot and he drags the shot a few yards wide of the left post of Blaswich.
Yeah, they were lucky there, Leverkusen. It was a poor throw-in from Grimaldo. Palacios didn't have the best of touches, didn't need to take it quickly either, but kind of sped the play up, gave it straight into Trossard, who on his left foot has really pulled that shot. This is the position where you want to see Martin Odegaard, isn't it? Coming in from the right on his left foot. I think you see a very different outcome there if he's lining up his left foot.
Interesting that Trossard straight back into the Arsenal team tonight, having missed a couple of games with that hip injury. Got in there, FA Cup win at Mansfield. Here's Saka in the Bayer Leverkusen box, teed up for Eza. He's left in, and the shot over the top of the crossbar from Trossard via a touch, I think, from the hands of Blaswich. Very good save that from the Leverkusen goalkeeper.
Yeah, top goalkeeping, really is. Good play from Saka. He looks more in the mood tonight for me, physically, takes it on his back foot, pops it inside. Trossard shifts it onto his right foot, and it's going in the top corner. That he's trying to curl it with his right foot into that near side top corner, and he gets up with his left hand. Blaswich, it's a brilliant save.
Still yet to score in 2026 for Arsenal, Leandro Trossard, but that's the best chance of the night so far, which is just over a quarter of an hour old in North London. 0-0 on the night, 1-1 on aggregate. Arsenal corner, Bukayo Saka from the right side, again into that near post, which is where his one previously went. This one has been cleared back to Saka from the right wing. Eza rolling his foot over the ball, goes left, then he goes right, and then he comes back inside Abera Eza, who's got the gloves on tonight. Short pass to Saka, still on the right side of Leverkusen's penalty area. Trossard lingering on the edge of it, he's got the ball. Short to Saliba, and Saka again from the right. Saka finds the room, left-footed cross in, and headed away by Edmund Tapsoba for Leverkusen. Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 2 now at Stamford Bridge. Bradley Barcola with the second goal. I think it is safe to say that Chelsea are exiting the Champions League from here.
That's going to be a long game, isn't it, for Chelsea? That is not the start they wanted.
Well, they need 5 now, so they essentially need to replicate the scoreline from Paris if they're to force extra time. 0-0 here as Saliba sends it back in field for Gabriel. It's the Arsenal team who were semi-finalists, of course, in this competition last season, eventually knocked out by Paris Saint-Germain, who of course went on to lift the trophy. And actually 20 years ago this year since they reached the final of this competition for the last time, when they Lost to Barcelona, never won the Champions League or the European Cup as it was before that, so there's a lot of potential history on the line for the Gunners this season.
Yeah, and they're just a far more experienced outfit in this competition, aren't they? I mean, you talk about that PSG game and that they were done by the better team, but it'd be interesting to see these two teams meet this season, wouldn't it?
Not on the same side of the draw, so they could only meet in the final from here.
But that would be great, wouldn't it?
It really would. Here's Trossard into the box. Rice back to goal, tees it up to the edge of the area. Zubimendi tried a little reverse pass, but maybe others weren't on the same wavelength as him, and it rolls through to Blasvic.
Yeah, I think it was Ben White all the way up there in the penalty spot. I mean, we do see Timber get forward in the box and score. Crosses come in, Timber's in the middle, and the right back position. You do have the freedom to do that for Arsenal.
Quite all over in that game between Sporting and Werder Glimt. That was the early kick-off tonight in the Champions League round of 16, but it is still Sporting Lisbon 4, Werder Glimt 0 at the very end of extra time, and of course it will be one of those two that will face one of these two in the quarter-final. Remember, they were 3-0 down, the Portuguese side, after the first leg. Saka from the right wing, 2/3 of the way up inside Leverkusen's half, a little poke in the direction of White. He's got it back to Saka, then Eze, and then forced forward by Zubimendi, and Saka trying to pile his way through a number of bodies, and in fact the offside flag, I think, has gone up there.
That was right back from the start of that move, wasn't it? I mean, it's taken a long time to get the flag up, and it was quite clear that it wasn't going to lead directly straight to a goal-scoring opportunity, and that was that.
Well, you were out in Leverkusen last week, albeit I know you stayed in Cologne and travelled into Leverkusen, didn't you, for the game? But how does that night differ to this one in the 20 minutes so far?
It's relatively similar, I would say. I mean, I think Leverkusen started with a little bit more edge, as you'd expect at home, with the support behind them, but I mean, it hasn't been too dissimilar, to be honest. Arsenal having passages of the ball, but Leverkusen as well showing they're a team that can move it about and create chances.
Quick ball forward looking for Gyökeres, who had got the run on Tapsoba, and he's still grappling with him now, and Andrich is just going to have to keep that in play, and because the goalkeeper Blasvic didn't like the bounce of the ball, he takes it on the half volley and he sidesteps it out of play for an Arsenal throw on this right hand side. White takes it quickly, and upfield it goes for Bayer Leverkusen for Kafane to chase, and Raya a long way out of his box to clear, but collected on the halfway line by Poku. He runs forward, but then his pass is behind Terry, and it breaks down for Leverkusen. 0-0.
Yeah, that's where they just wanted to find that pass there, Poku. Raya was right under pressure to kick that ball. He's actually stretching to reach it.
And this is a lovely Arsenal move, which is coming from the left-hand side. Saka waiting in the middle, and it's touched behind by Grimaldo, who was marshalling the edge of his 6-yard box well, the Bayer Leverkusen left wing-back, to clear it behind for an Arsenal corner.
Yeah, good defending from Grimaldo. Quick break from Arsenal, gets fed down the channel, but straight away his reaction, he takes a look over his shoulder, sees where Saka is. And sometimes the wing-backs in those positions can get a little bit lazy. You're not quite the full-back, so you know they see it as not their responsibility, but he's all the way in defending that back post and does it well.
So Arsenal 24 goals from corners this season, 32 in total from set pieces. The best record in any of Europe's major leagues. Have a corner here on the 21-minute mark with the scoreline Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Saka, left-footed in-swinger on top of the goalkeeper, who was beaten. Gabriel gone up ahead of Blasvic there. I think it was his touch, and he heads it up and over the crossbar.
Who else's touch would it be? Crikey. He's like a magnet, isn't he? Just gets up there, near post again, hung in the same area. I mean, Blasvic decides to come a little bit late, doesn't get anywhere near it, and it's just too much purchase on the header. Can't take the pace off it there, Gabriel, so it goes about probably half a foot over the crossbar, but another indicator that you just fancy Arsenal on the set pieces this evening at home. It's a real threat.
And they come with purpose once more, Arsenal. They're having a good spell here. There's a shout for a handball, and they've got the decision. The cross from the left-hand side, striking the arm of Kwanzaa, but it's about a yard or so outside the penalty area, so it's an Arsenal free kick on the left side of the box.
Yeah, it was either a corner or a free kick. Either will do, to be honest, as it comes in. Just having a look at the replay. I don't know, the UEFA handball situation, I mean, if had that have been in the box, they'd give a penalty for that. I just think it's just madness. Comes off Quanta's knee up onto his hand. Yes, it touches his hand, but totally accidentally. You know, I just find that there's so many goals and issues that you can get. I think there was one in the Bodo game as well, wasn't there? A handball, dubious handball in the game.
Quanta on that occasion didn't appeal too much. He trotted back into
just
the penalty
accept
area.
It,
yep. So Declan Rice, the ball is about 6 yards back from the byline on the left side of the box. Rice has gone for goal, and fortunately for Blasvich, he was anticipating that because he's pulled it away out to the opposite side for an Arsenal throw. Yeah,
it's kept him on his toes there, hasn't he? Just tried to whip it. I think everyone expected the cross to come in. Declan Rice sees the near post area and just fizzes it straight at the goalkeeper, maybe hoping for a touch or somebody just running across the face of the ball.
Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 1. Vinicius Jr. has scored a penalty, and what I assume is all part of the same incident. Bernardo Silva has been sent off, so Manchester City are down to 10. Arsenal have gone short with the throw here. 0-0 the scoreline against the German side Leverkusen. White swells it in, Saka's header right at Blasvich that time, but he's had to make quite a few saves in the last 15 minutes or so. The Leverkusen goalkeeper. Kafane's down on the floor here, and Leverkusen want Arsenal to put the ball out, and very reluctantly eventually they are going to do that through Leandro Trossard.
It has been a pretty good start from Arsenal. I think now these set pieces have come in last 5 minutes, it's a far more dominant opening 25 minutes or so from Arsenal than what the away leg was. You know, they're really putting Leverkusen under pressure, and if they keep doing it, keep just applying that pressure, winning the corners, winning the set plays, getting in behind, you'd fancy sooner or later something's just going to drop for them.
Finished 16th in the league phase by Leverkusen, so they had to play one of those playoff matches, and they beat the Greek side Olympiacos by 2-0. I think we can say with certainty now that the quarter-finalists awaiting one of these two will be Sporting, because they are now 5-0 up on the night against Werder Glimt, 5-3 on aggregate. Still Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 2, and Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 1 in those 8 o'clock kickoffs.
I mean, look, those 3 games, I mean, that's just crazy scores, aren't they, really? To think Chelsea are 2-0 down so early, City at home 1-0 down, and then the 5-0. I mean, what are we going to get here, Chris? That's the question. Are we going to get fireworks, or are we just going to get a steady, controlling performance from Arsenal? I'm going for the latter.
Somewhere in between the two right now,
maybe,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's Kafane using his body well to hold the ball up on the halfway line, and then suddenly Terrier is put in nicely on the left side of the penalty area. He's got it back to Grimaldo, and Grimaldo tried to cut it back inside, and then important interception from the backtracking Piero Hincapié. Of course, is on loan from Bayer Leverkusen, to nudge it away for a corner.
Yeah, brilliant from Hincapié to see the danger, get all the way across from the left back position. But what I will say is, if Grimaldo has this ball come back in on his left foot, that's got to be hit first time. The moment he has a touch coming into the edge of the 18-yard box, you don't get time to then settle and take your time and hit it. OK, Hincapié comes in, good run, but he's got to crack that shot first time. I think it would cause a real problem for David Raya if he had hit it.
It's been a weird night for Piero Hincapié playing against his parent club as he is.
I thought that last week, to be honest. It's quite odd when you see a loanee able to do that.
Here comes the Bayer Leverkusen corner, very deep. Andrus at the far post has headed it back across goal, and David Raya was over the byline. He did get some hands on that, the Arsenal goalkeeper, but it had already gone out of play, so it is an Arsenal goal kick, but similar in the sense of what we saw last week. The corner was a bit heavier that time, but Andrus it wasn't it, at the far post for the Bayer Leverkusen goal that gave them the lead in the first leg?
Yeah, they certainly switched off at the back post for that goal. It was a real shot. They didn't start the second half very well, came out of the dressing room and just weren't at the races. The way that Leverkusen won the corner and then how Arsenal defended in the corner, it was just a bit sleepy.
Goalless between Arsenal and Leverkusen as Saka just slightly miscontrols, but so does Tapsoba, who fired the ball centrally. Zubamendi picked it up, and then some indecision, and Saka suddenly got it for Arsenal. Right-footed shot was heading towards the top left-hand corner of Blaszczyk's goal, and with both of his hands he's palmed that away for yet another Arsenal corner, and they're racking them up now.
Yeah, Leverkusen can't keep playing like that. I mean, the tackle from Mazza was terrible. Zubamendi just kind of jumps at the tackle. Then I think it's Grimaldi, isn't it? And Grimaldo and maybe Palacios, just neither one deals with the ball, and then all of a sudden it pops to Saka. It was sloppy play from Leverkusen.
So Saka with the latest chance to deliver from the right. Let's keep an eye on Gabriel. He's about 2 yards outside the 6-yard box in a very central position, the Arsenal centre-back. Most of the corners so far have come his way. That's where Saka's intended it to go again, and there was a push in there amongst those flurries of bodies by an Arsenal player, so it's a Leverkusen free kick.
Yeah, he's out of the technical area now. The set-piece coach is nearly on the pitch as to where he is. I mean, bellowing instructions every single corner. I mean, if you're not set up and organised before the game and know what you're doing, it's very hard to adjust it mid-game. I know you can have some impact, but the players have got to take responsibility. So far, they've handled me. Gabriel's won the first contact twice, which is probably a bit concerning.
Very mild night at the Emirates tonight. All suddenly an opportunity for Arsenal again. It's come to Saka across the edge of the 6-yard box, slightly right of centre. The pull back for Trossard and another stop. Blaszczyk got his right leg to the ball, and off his shin it deviates away for an Arsenal corner.
Right, I think he's a little bit lucky, to be honest, that the ball just didn't squirm underneath him. Well, they get that place. It was good play from Gyökeres, slips it into Rice, deflection into the box. It comes back to the level with the penalty spot, and it's a good save. It's on target from Trossard, middle of the goal, but it hits his shin and just squirms wide of that far post.
I mean, it nearly hits Andrich.
It does.
Goes in.
He's dropping onto the goal line, and the contact was perfect for Leverkusen.
Well, all these corners Arsenal haven't, perhaps surprisingly, made one work so far. That's a very deep one from Rice. Zubamendi keeps it alive, back across goal, and then Eze from the edge of the penalty area. That was on target, and Leverkusen breathe a sigh of relief as the ball deflects almost back up to the halfway line.
That was a clean hit from Eze, wouldn't it? Came back to him, kind of laced it into the ground. It was zipping off the turf. I mean, it hit bodies on the way, but it looked like it was on target.
He's got 8 Arsenal goals to bear at Eze, but not one yet in the UEFA Champions League. Mind you, if you've scored a hat-trick in the North London derby, you probably don't worry too much about getting your first Champions League goal.
Yeah, I think he wants to play Tottenham every week, doesn't he?
Might not even be possible next season, the way things are going.
No, maybe not.
There's Saka. Now he's gone over 10 yards outside the penalty area. It was a free kick because Danny Macchielli was indicating that I'm happy to let you carry on because you've still got the ball, but Arsenal would rather have had the set piece, I think. But
definitely.
So they have to restart again with Zubamendi. Goes backwards 10 yards to Saliba, and then high on this right side is Ben White, but his pass is a stray of Saka, and that allowed the interception to take place from Palacios. But sometimes a little scrappy Leverkusen in their defence as Meza tries to trap the ball here. The young Algerian being crowded out. He's gone backwards to see if there's a route out in a different direction for Leverkusen, and then given away by Garcia with a pass that was a stray of Grimaldo, and it presents Arsenal with an unexpected corner.
Yeah, Arsenal's pressure and press is miles better than the first leg, to be honest. You would expect that at home, but Leverkusen struggling to play out. They really are. Arsenal players all the way in, stopping every avenue that opens up.
As ever with an Arsenal corner, an air of expectation, and for those Leverkusen fans in the corner of the stadium opposite us, with Arsenal going from left to right in the first half, a real feeling of concern, I imagine, every time Bukayo Saka or Declan Rice puts the ball down for a corner. Saka with this one, short to Eze, on to Trossard, low shot, Blaszczyk with the save, loose inside the 6-yard box. There's White, and somehow Blaszczyk has got his hands on the ball, and White cannot force it in from a few yards out.
Well, that's a different one for the playbook, that one, isn't it? A short corner, cut back to the edge of the box. First time whip from Trossard, just into bodies, really. I mean, it's pinball in that box.
And here's Kafane up the other end for Leverkusen, edge of the box, left-footed. I thought he was going to shoot. He's then cut back, and then it's picked up by Grimaldo, who swings it in. The header away is as far as Palacios, and then Garcia, and then Kwanzaa, 5 yards outside the box to Poku on the right, drives it low, off the shins of Hincapié, and from one corner for Arsenal, within 60 seconds, Leverkusen have one of their own, 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Arsenal corner was a really good variation. They've been slinging them into the box, but this time to go to the edge, first time shot, and it was so hard to clear it. There was just, I'm just looking at the replay now, there was just bodies laying across the ball everywhere. The shot goes in. Maybe Ben White should do better, actually. It's him in there who has the shot, isn't it? Gives Blasic a chance.
I feel like we've said that name a lot tonight, Yanis Blaszczak, in the first 33 minutes. The German goalkeeper who's been in senior squads before for the national team, but never actually has been capped by his country. In comes the corner from Grimaldo, and the header was from Christian Kafane. No, it wasn't actually, it was Edmund Tapsoba, and it was held by Raya. And now Rice, who then gives the ball away on the halfway line. So Leverkusen have it back again, 0-0 at the Emirates Stadium, 1-1 after that first leg out in Germany a week ago. Back it comes to Robert Andrich on the halfway line. I heard you and Ali last week in the commentary talking about his appearance. I know Ali compared him to a gremlin.
Yeah, it was Ali, wasn't me.
Yeah, no, I wasn't blaming you for a moment. But he does have a sort of a villain look about him, doesn't he, Robert Andrich? It's
probably not the biggest of compliments, really, is it? I mean, especially the one with kind of the striped mohawk, because he's got that kind of bleached, it's not quite bleached, but a blonde kind of mohawk, hasn't he, Andrew? And like you say, he's got that look about him, and he plays in quite a menacing fashion.
He does. If he suddenly popped up in a Bond movie,
yeah,
you wouldn't be at all surprised,
no,
would
you?
You?
You wouldn't. That's much nicer than a gremlin.
Rather than
you're paying him more of a compliment than Ali did.
I mean, I don't think he was listening to the Five Live coverage last week, but might have had the lawyers onto Ali if he was.
Yeah, maybe.
Ball is on the halfway line for a Bayer Leverkusen throw. Arsenal 0, Bayer Leverkusen 0. But I mean, we are beginning to see the real dominance of the Premier League leaders now in terms of the chances they've created and the way they keep, just as they did there, force an error from Bayer Leverkusen, albeit Ez has presented the ball back to Bayer Leverkusen, who then immediately give it back to Arsenal. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. It's not always about good play, it's about forcing the opposition into problems, and Arsenal are doing that well at the moment.
Trossard from the left wing for the Gunners, back in field for Zubamendi, into the feet of Hincapié, who managed to ride the challenge just about of Ezequiel Palacios. Final 10 minutes of the first half at the Emirates Stadium. Mikel Arteta was talking this week about the very significant moment of Saturday's win. I'll come back to that in a moment, because Zubamendi is picking his way through the Leverkusen defence, but he can't pick the pass for Trossard. It's wide of him, and in that right back position it's a Leverkusen throw. So that win here against Everton, I don't know how you feel about it, but had that finished 0-0, as it looked for 88 minutes like it was going to at the weekend, I feel, even though we're talking about an entirely different competition tonight, it would have totally changed the dynamic and the feel of this game this evening. Yeah,
I think so. I think certainly the supporters have turned up feeling a lot happier and a lot more relaxed, ready to get behind their team. But you have to be patient, and I think this team has, if this is still 1-1 with 8 minutes gone.
Eza! What a goal from Abera Eza! From the edge of the penalty area, he's spun and on the half volley has hit it first time, and it's gone past Blaszczak before he could even blink. His first ever Champions League goal, and I tell you now, he'll never score a better one. That is a truly astonishing goal from Abera Eza to light up the night. Arsenal 1, Bayer Leverkusen 0, 2-1 on aggregate.
Well, what a way to score your first Champions League goal. That is sensational. What a hit with his right foot. It's out of nothing. It's a ball bouncing about, it's loose in the air, it goes into Trossard, he punches it into Eze. And his first touch is with his left foot, he swivels, he hits it as the ball sat up on his right foot, and he just powers it. Middle of the goal in terms of height, but right in that near post corner. Blasic diving to his right. He's actually not that far from the ball, Blasic, but it's gone past him in a flash. That's how hard he hits it. I mean, I can liken it to his goal in the FA Cup where he nearly broke the net at Mansfield the other week. He hits it as hard as that, gives the goalkeeper no chance.
And Mikel Arteta celebrating in the same exuberant fashion that he did when Max Dowman scored that second goal at the weekend here. Another moment that the Emirates Stadium is rejoicing in, and all those around us here are on their feet, the Arsenal fans. There's a man in front of me, probably about 10 yards in front of us, Matt, with an old Arsenal shirt with the name Wright and the number 8 on the back, and he's whirling his red and white scarf in the air. And here's Saka. Arsenal come again. Trossard in the box, cuts back on his right foot, can't distribute the ball to Rice, ran out of room to take the shot, and Bayer Leverkusen get it upfield to Kafane, and Kafane's layoff towards Meza, who was scrapping for the ball, but Ibrahim Meza can't take it with him, and this game feels very open now as Arsenal spring forward down the other end. Rice up to the edge of Leverkusen's penalty area. Trossard in the box. Trossard challenged well though by Palacios, and Leverkusen put it out for a throw, and we can breathe a little bit. Arsenal won by Leverkusen 0.
Yeah, Leverkusen bang in trouble now. Well, they've been struggling and up against it for the last 20 minutes or so, but they just can't get out of their half. Chris, Arsenal suffocating them, applying pressure, and they've got that breakthrough goal, and you think they'll just relax a little bit now. They could maybe be even more dangerous.
So it's going wrong for the other English teams tonight in the Champions League, but at the moment it is going right for Arsenal.
Yes, it is.
2-1 they lead on aggregate, and ahead for the first time in this Champions League round of 16 tie. That Eza goal, so special, Matt, that it took me back to the free kicks that Declan Rice scored last year in the Champions League against Real Madrid, just in terms of the intensity of the moment and the celebration of the quality of the goal.
Yeah, and I think you maybe get those because it's so tense that when you do get the breakthrough, certainly of that quality, then it's just a fantastic moment, isn't it? And his reaction as well, he turned round and he just knew, he kind of went running off going, that's a heck of a strike, and he's right to do that because it was some goal.
The thing is, he's normally so smooth and calm, isn't he, with his celebrations?
Yeah. But it was relative. I think he was kind of, just getting into the flow of it, trying to be cool, but how could you be cool after hitting a strike like that? It was just a brilliant shot.
Oh, they'll be replaying that for years, I imagine, particularly if this season goes on to turn out the way that Arsenal want it to. Into the final 5 minutes of the first half at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal controlling the ball and now have a control over this Champions League tie as well, with the winner confirmed to be going through to play Sporting in the quarter-final. Sporting Lisbon of Portugal. Gyökeres collecting the ball from Eza on the edge of the box. He's tripped, and despite the complaints of Andrich and Palacios, who were both right next to Gyökeres, it's an Arsenal free kick 3 yards outside the Leverkusen penalty area, right of centre.
Yeah, it's a really nice position, isn't it? I mean, interesting to see how they play this. This Trossard is coming over, looks favourite to have the ball. Saka's hovering round it. It's just outside the corner of the 18-yard box on Arsenal's right-hand side.
What, Matt, I don't know if you noticed, but I've just clocked on the replay. In the build-up to that, the assistant referee was trying to keep up with play, and one of the substitutes of Leverkusen warming up accidentally tripped him up, and he ended up about 5 yards on the pitch, stumbling backwards. So it was a good job the referee had view of everything that was happening.
I wonder why they were all looking at each other chuckling. That would be quite funny, wouldn't it?
Fourth official had to come over and just ask some of those Leverkusen substitutes to step back a bit. Arsenal free kick then, they're leading 1-0 through that sublime Eza goal. Trossard, he might have a go here. No, he's gone short to his right-hand side for Saka. So Saka on the right side of the penalty area. Back to the edge of the area for Saliba. Eza, is he going to have another go? No, he's not. He's gone backwards for Rice. Rice curls it in. That had some nice height on it. Tapsoba heads it away. Saliba hooks it forward again. It's down by Gabriel and Capier, and back to him again. The two Arsenal defenders working well, and Capier runs at the Leverkusen defenders. And then the challenge from Palacios, who is inside his own box still, trying to find an exit, and Jarell Quansah, the former Liverpool defender, is going to provide that moment, but Arsenal pinch it back again. At the moment, they are swarming Matt Upson all over by Leverkusen.
Yeah, they're just snapping into every ball first. Declan Rice, prime example there, and even Eze with that tackle. The referee's given a foul now to Leverkusen with Terrier gone down, but I think Eze might have got to the ball first. He's just speaking to the referee saying, I touched it before the challenge. And we're getting a lovely replay on our screen, aren't we, of that goal. What a turn, and it's got a flow to it, because the ball's coming across him. He cushions it with his left foot, swivels his body onto it without a second thought. He's so instinctive, just with the right foot, like a volley really. The ball sat up nicely, bangs it right in the corner.
Just seen the replay of Abera Eze with his trademark celebrations, both the arms up in the air, the fingers pointing skyward.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like divine inspiration.
Yeah, it really was.
By Leverkusen, who have been working off fair scraps in this first half against an Arsenal team who clearly mean business tonight, but the Germans, led by Kasper Hjulmand, the Dane, who is pacing around inside the technical area in front of us, working the ball down the left-hand side for Grimaldo. His cross has actually bounced back off his chest, having delivered that, or tried to deliver the ball into the box. Zubimendi with the block, back off Grimaldo, and out for an Arsenal throw. 1-0 on the night, Eze's goal, 2-1 on aggregate, and we're in the final 2 minutes of the first half at the Emirates Stadium, which had a good atmosphere at kick-off anyway, Matt, didn't it? But
yeah,
that's gone up through the gears now since that Eze goal. Kofane, after the work from Terrier, gets it for Bayer Leverkusen, and then brought down on the halfway line by Garcia.
I think the way Arsenal are playing as well, I mean, it's a feel-good anyway after the result midweek, and that goal's gone in, but Arsenal are at it tonight. They're snapping into the tackle, they're making life so difficult for Leverkusen.
There's Kwanzaa, and then interception by White, but the ball is swept into this wide area again for Grimaldo, the Spaniard, and then Garcia, also of Spain, and Mazza picks it up, left side of the penalty area, rolling his foot over the ball, left-footed cross, that's a good one up towards that far post, but there was nobody in blue there to meet it, and Arsenal with a free opportunity to clear it away. Kwanzaa tries to hook it back into the box. He's got the ball back at his feet again. He might have a go here, Kwanzaa. Instead he's given it to Grimaldo, who tried one more pass for Kofane, and that didn't work, and Arsenal clear, and Gyökeres goes chasing after Andrić, who is forced to go back to Blažević.
There's brilliant cover from Saka there, actually. Gets back in on the edge of his own 18-yard box, does a great defensive job for his team. So I think there was a lot of time there, but he came on the blind side and just put the pressure on and was able to turn the ball over. It was top play from Saka.
Barcelona against Newcastle, that should be brilliant tomorrow night in the Nou Camp, live on 5 Live from 5:30.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that.
And Liverpool with some work to do for their game against Galatasaray at Anfield as well, which is our live commentary from 8. Maybe not as much work as Tottenham Hotspur have to turn their tie around against Atletico Madrid. We'll keep you updated with that one tomorrow night on 5 Live, and then Aston Villa against Lille in the Europa League on Thursday as well. So a really ram-stacked week of European football here on 5 Live and via BBC Sounds. Sports Extra with you from the Emirates Stadium tonight. We're in the last minute of the first half of this Champions League round of 16 game. Arsenal leading by Leverkusen 1-0 on the evening, 2-1 on aggregate. But just in the last couple of minutes of this first half, Bayer Leverkusen having a feel of the ball that they haven't really been privy to for a good 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. That period of time, Arsenal so dominant, just suffocating them really, not allowing them out on every touch, forcing mistakes, forcing sloppy passes. They've done it really well, Arsenal have, here at the Emirates, and I just think it's just a different animal when you come and play here.
And that animal that I think for a while was far meeker, wasn't it, than the animal that Arsenal are now over the past couple of seasons. Noted that on the front of the Arsenal programme tonight that the words Arsenal are spelt out in silver lettering, and that's quite appropriate really, because they've been bridesmaid, haven't they, so often recently in the Premier League, but maybe this is the golden season. Cross for Leverkusen into the box. Raya just about has it covered. The ball's ended up on top of his net, and that is the half-time whistle, and most of the Emirates Stadium will be focusing their eyes on Abera Eze. I certainly think the cameras will be, as he leaves the pitch. A brilliant goal from Abera Eze on the half volley from the edge of the box, snapped past Blažević to give Arsenal a 1-0 lead at half time, and 2-1 over Bayer Leverkusen on aggregate. Matt Upson.
Yeah, it's as you would expect, I think, here. Arsenal have delivered the high level of the type of football that they've been playing all season. They've done it very well, confident at the back, suppressing the opposition, then being really physical, really dominant, winning loads of corners and free kicks and throw-ins, and eventually applying enough pressure to force mistakes. And then Eze's popped up with an absolute piece of magic. It's been very Arsenal-like.
But it's still a slender lead, and Mikel Arteta will feel that one more goal will probably be enough for them tonight.
I think so. And I think the sooner they can maybe just make that happen, obviously a big game coming up at the weekend, and at that point for me, I don't think Bayer Leverkusen have got it in them to then score 2 goals. I just don't think they're showing enough right at this moment in time that they're going to be that much of a goal threat.
So the goal from Abera Eze after 36 minutes, Arsenal leading by Leverkusen, 1-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate. The winner going through to play Sporting Lisbon in the round of 16. Half-time in the other games tonight, Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 2. So that's a 7-2 lead for the Champions League winners of last season. So you sense that they are going through to the quarter-finals as well. And Manchester City have equalised against Real Madrid. Erling Haaland has got the goal back for them. So 1-1 on the night at the Etihad Stadium, 4-1 still to Real Madrid on aggregate. And remember, Manchester City also down to 10 men after the sending off of Bernardo Silva. And that's where we're taking you now for the closing stages of the first half at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City against Real Madrid. Leon Osman is alongside Ali Bruce Ball.
He's gone for his top pocket and given a yellow card to Husanov because he felt he didn't play the ball, he played the man. And Pep Guardiola just sticks his hands in his pockets, turns and shrugs, and sort of with the body language says, well, what can he do?
Well, you might get away with that in the Premier League. You very rarely do in Europe, especially right in front of the assistant referee, who's only probably 3 or 4 yards away from it, right there in the action. And as the ball comes in to Vinicius, he just sort of skips away from him slightly, but in doing so, it went past Kushnerov a bit. Kushnerov went in for the shoulder-to-shoulder, thinking he was competing. And once that touch just came off his feet, he just turned his body into Kushnerov rather than his shoulder, and in doing so, that's why Kushnerov caught him flush in the face.
This is getting rather bad-tempered now towards the end of the first half. Ruben Diaz says something has happened off the ball with Brahim Diaz. He thinks the assistant referee should have seen it. Vinicius is in the centre of it as well. Manchester City already down to 10. Donnarumma towering over Brahim Diaz now, actually stoops down almost on bended knee to look at him eye to eye, and Brahim Diaz really wants to keep going at this. Cherki gets involved and tries to push him away, and the referee just needs to try and get a handle on this. Manchester City frustrated.
Well, they can't afford to go down to 9 men, Manchester City, and I don't think it's going to suit them. I mean, Real Madrid are silly for even getting involved in this at all. They're 3 goals ahead and a man up. They just need to calm everything down. Manchester City don't mind a bit of fire in the game. They don't mind getting the crowd on side. Might actually help the team.
Right, we played almost 5 minutes of added time now. There were meant to be 3. Ball is back in play. Real Madrid have taken their free kick, and that is that at half-time. So Manchester City are down to 10 men. Pep Guardiola and Trent Alexander-Arnold exchanging a word as they head to the tunnel, but it's a good-natured one. Both wreathed in smiles there. And Manchester City started tonight 3 goals down on aggregate in the tie. That remains the same. 1-1 tonight because Haaland got the equaliser after Vinicius gave Real Madrid the lead from the penalty spot, but crucially Bernardo Silva sent off, and Manchester City down to 10 men. It will be quite some comeback tonight if they can pull it off. 1-1 at half-time. Kelly.
Ali, thank you very much. Alistair Bruce Ball and Leon Osman at the Etihad for this one. And Leon, not only is it level on the night, not only do Manchester City still have to overturn that deficit, they're down to 10 men, and you can see the frustration starting to bubble over at the end of that first half.
Yeah, of course, and that's inevitable because you had such different aspirations and expectations for this evening, and they started so well. They did. They were just a goal or a finish or a brilliant save from Courtois away from actually getting the perfect start to the game, and then one just good moment, I'd say, for Real Madrid. Brilliant play out from the back and the effort on goal, which I don't think that Bernardo Silva can have any real qualms about. He did stick his arm out, it did stop the ball going in the goal by the rule book. That is a red card as well, and suddenly everything seems like it's gone against them. Couple of other decisions as well that the referee didn't give, and suddenly you can feel that. But they've got a goal back, and it's a bit positive, and they finished the half on a high and on a positive, and that's what I said. You can all they can do now is get the next goal, just see where it takes them.
Can Manchester City get 3 goals back in the second half against Real Madrid? Or, even better, Leon Osman and Alistair Bruce-Ball will take us through the second half in just 15 minutes or so. Meanwhile, it's half-time at the Emirates between Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen, and it's going well for Arsenal, John Southall.
It is. Arsenal 1, Bayer Leverkusen 0, so they lead 2-1 on aggregate. An impressive 45 minutes this from Arsenal, and a special goal from Eberechi Eze, 20 yards out, a bouncing ball on the spin, and he struck it on his left foot on the volley, and it simply flew into the top corner. His first Champions League goal. What a goal, 9th of the season. They had chances before that, 3 for Leandro Trossard. The first he dragged wide, the second denied by Blažić, and the third again a brilliant stop by the keeper with his right boot. Gabriel's also headed one over. Declan Rice has been denied by the keeper. So yeah, so far so good for Arsenal. As it stands at the moment, they're heading into the last 8, 1-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate.
And Matthew Upson also at the Emirates for us. As John was saying, Matt, it is 1-0 to Arsenal. That's stunning as a goal. But it could be more. They've been very much on top in that first 45 minutes.
Yeah, they really have, Kelly, to be honest. It's been very Arsenal-like, this performance, controlling. They've suffocated Leverkusen. They're forcing them into mistakes with the ball in their own box. And the intensity and tempo has been right at it. And from that, they've had loads of opportunities. They're winning corners, they're applying pressure there, and they've just had one absolutely magic moment from Eze to bang the ball in on the swivel with his right foot. It was a fantastic goal. So they're in a really good position at the moment at half-time.
Thank you very much for that. We'll be back with the Emirates and keep you up to date with everything that's happening in that game, as Arsenal are looking comfortable in terms of trying to progress to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Meanwhile, not at all comfortable for Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in lots of ways against Paris Saint-Germain. Chris Coles.
No, 2-0 down, and any hope of a special Champions League comeback emphatically extinguished inside. Quarter of an hour at Stamford Bridge, the holders ruthlessly taking the game away from Chelsea. Kvaratskhelia capitalising on a Sarr error to fire into the corner. Barcola superbly finishing from just inside the box with Chelsea wide open. They've had further good chances too. Chelsea have created bits and pieces. A João Pedro header just wide. Palmer forcing a good save from Safanov, but there's no real belief in their play. There's very little belief emanating from the stands, and the boos were prominent on the half-time whistle. Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 2, 7-2 PSG on aggregate.
And Pat Nevin is also there. Pat, look, this was always going to be difficult for Chelsea, but have they showed any real fight or spirit or belief that they could get back into this tie, or even, put in a battling performance?
They've not been absolutely awful. They've created a few chances. They went for it. They went for the back three. I mentioned before the game, I thought they might be tempted by that, but there's a problem with that. You leave yourself 3 against 3 against Kvaratskhelia, against Barcola, and against a not bad player called Dembele as well. And if you do that man for man at the back, and you've left 2 20-year-olds and the white players there, if you get done in the break, don't be surprised. To say with something like Julian Roland, who we were talking about earlier on, would say, "Le bleu, ils ont toy knife." And the guy beside me said that, by the way. They are so naive the way they're playing just now, and you could see it coming an absolute mile away. But there's another little part of him that thinks, well, they had to have a go, didn't they? They had to try something. Well, they tried something. Well, it's not worked. They're 7-2 down, and do you know the best thing you could do now? Go back to a 4 at the back and just try and shut up shop a wee bit, because there was a moment there that it could have got very, very ugly. And if I'm honest with you, Kelly, I think the foot has completely come off the gas from PSG just now. They're just cruising.
Pat, thank you very much for that. We're keeping you up to date with everything that happens in the Champions League. We're also across what's happening in the EFL, including in the Championship, where there's been a goal at the game between Watford and Wrexham. Charlie Slater.
Wrexham have won back, just the start they needed to the second half. Corner kick, the ball is flicked into the back of the net by the head of Max Cleworth, who darted to the near post and flicked it to the back stick. It's Watford 2, Wrexham 1.
In League One, watching Cardiff against Wycombe, it's Molly Stevens.
Where it's 10-man, Cardiff 0, Wycombe 0. Wycombe trying desperately to make the extra man count. The ball bobbling around their box, but it doesn't find the back of the net. It remains goalless.
And watching Huddersfield Lincoln, Adam Cottier.
The League One leaders, Lincoln, are 2-1 down here. They got themselves back into the game after a Feeney own goal. They haven't lost since November. They're trying their best. Ben House has come close to equalising. It remains Huddersfield 2, Lincoln 1.
In League Two, Newport County taking on Bromley. David Kernan.
Yes, it's goalless here despite Newport's dominance. They've been excellent, great intensity. Matt Baker missed an open goal in the first half, and Ben Lloyd has just hit the post from the edge of the 6-yard box. Bromley, they've been completely under the cosh throughout since the word go. 25 minutes left here. It's Newport 0, Bromley 0.
Regular updates from everything that's happening in the EFL this evening, and of course we'll keep you up to date with the Premier League clubs in Champions League action this evening. Manchester City 1-1 against Real Madrid on the night, but they trail by 4-1 on aggregate. Arsenal 1-0 up at half-time on the night, 2-1 up against Bayer Leverkusen on aggregate, and Chelsea a 5-2 defeat in the first leg. They're 2-0 down at Stamford Bridge in the second leg. They are 7-2 down on aggregate. We'll keep you up to date with all of that after we've had the BBC News headlines from Mark Summers.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
And we'll start with some breaking news. In the past few minutes, Iranian authorities have confirmed the death of the country's security chief, Ali Laranjani. He was targeted in an Israeli airstrike last night. The director of the United States National Counterterrorism Center has resigned. Joe Kent says he cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran, as the country posed no imminent threat to the US. President Donald Trump says Mr. Kent was weak on security and it's a good thing he's resigned. Here, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has told MPs and peers that the Iranian regime and Vladimir Putin's Russia are brothers in hatred. He said Ukraine had deployed more than 200 anti-drone experts to help Gulf countries defend themselves against Iranian strikes. In other news, meningitis B vaccinations to be given to some university students in Kent to tackle an outbreak which has claimed 2 lives and put several others in hospital. Some pharmacies there are warning of shortages as people living around Canterbury have paid around £200 for the jab privately. Metel Haidav is a pharmacist in the area.
I've received 30 phone calls just for vaccination inquiry and NHS 111 referral. Normally we get it for minor illnesses. Every single referral was inquiry about meningitis vaccine.
Members of the Scottish Parliament are holding their final debate on whether to legalise assisted dying. If the bill passes, it would allow terminally ill, mentally competent adults to seek medical help to end their lives. The vote on the legislation is expected at around 10 o'clock tonight. And Glasgow Central Station will partially reopen tomorrow, having closed for more than a week after a large fire destroyed a nearby building. Network Rail says it expects trains to run on about half of the platforms.
On BBC iPlayer.
You have a very serious problem. You need support.
That's a bit dramatic.
Based on the best-selling books by Marion Keyes.
Everyone has their dramas. Sure, a house with that many women, how could we avoid it?
The Walsh Sisters.
Welcome to the family.
Watch on BBC iPlayer. This is 5 Live Sports.
The Champions League with Kelly Cates. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This evening on 5 Live Sport, Arsenal 1-0 up at home to Bayer Leverkusen. That's 2-1 on aggregate. Manchester City 1-1 against Real Madrid on the night, 4-1 down on aggregate, and Chelsea losing 2-0 on the night, 7-2 down on aggregate. We'll bring you the second half updates very shortly, and we've got 2 Champions League commentaries for you tomorrow night. We're at Anfield for Liverpool against Galatasaray at 8. And before that, we'll be in Barcelona, where Newcastle are level at 1-1 going into the second leg. Let's hear from Eddie Howe, who's staying calm ahead of a huge night for Newcastle.
The process that you go through before each game is the same, regardless of where you're playing, regardless of the size of the competition. We try to do the same things. We try to treat every game as if it is a Champions League final, without using cliches. So we'll do the work in the same way, we prepare in the same way. Yes, we're in a different environment, one we've never been to before. We'll enjoy the game when it comes, but we'll only truly enjoy it if we deliver what we know we need to deliver, and I think we're in a good place to do that. I think the players are probably as confident as they've been at any stage this season. With our recent performances, I think have been really strong. The individuals within our team are performing at a really high level as well. That hasn't always been the case this season. So hopefully we're peaking at the right time, but we need everything to go our way tomorrow.
Well, we'll leave our coverage on 5 Live there for now. Welcome back to 5 Live Sports Extra live at the Emirates Stadium. We are just about to get underway in the second half. Arsenal leading by Leverkusen by 1-0. Abera Eza 9 minutes before half-time. And as Leverkusen begin this second half going from left to right, doesn't appear to be any changes for either team, so I'll give you the Arsenal team first of all in full. Raya in goal, and then White, Saliba, Gabriel and Nkapie in defence, Zubimendi and Rice, and then Saka, the goal scorer, Eza, Trossard and Gyökeres. And for the visitors, Leverkusen, Blaszczak, who had to make plenty of saves in that first 45 minutes, the German, Kwanzaa, Andrich and Tapsoba, and then Poku, Palacios, Garcia, Ronaldo, Mazza, Terrier and Kafane. And Arsenal win an early free kick for a foul on Abera Eza, about 5 yards or so inside by Leverkusen's half. They're going from right to left in this second half. Arsenal in the red shirts with the white shorts and the red socks.
Yeah, that booking there, I think it's Palacios with the tackle. Last week they were winning those by Leverkusen. Arsenal were a little bit of a half a yard slower, and I think they were about half a yard quicker, and that's just the difference in this game. Arsenal have just got the edge on Bayer Leverkusen. They've got to up their game, Leverkusen, if they want to get back into this, because at the moment Arsenal are just winning all those little 50-50s all over the pitch.
And the winner of this game going through to the quarter-finals of the UEFA Champions League, and they will have a two-legged tie against Sporting Lisbon of Portugal as Arsenal try to make some tracks down the right side. Leverkusen's left, the ball's out of play for an Arsenal throw, which Saka takes quickly and goes back towards the halfway line. Unbeaten in their last 13, Arsenal, in all competitions. The last side to beat them, Manchester United, here back at the end of January, but they've been relatively serene since then.
Yeah, I was here for that game, and it was a really interesting game. Went ahead and then just got pegged back against the United team that was on a big bounce actually and playing really well, scored some good goals. But on the whole, I mean, there's not a lot to criticise really from Arsenal's season across all 4 competitions, and like you've mentioned, barely losing a game.
And that was always going to be a very difficult task for the visitors tonight. 6th place Bundesliga side by Leverkusen, who themselves have only lost once in their last 14, so it's not like they haven't been in relatively rude health, as well as Kafane, the Cameroonian, making his way forward here for Bayer Leverkusen. He's in the box to the left-hand side, he's got support coming, he tries to find Poku, and it's intercepted by Zubimendi and rolls out of play for a Leverkusen throw.
Yeah, Saliba just complaining there like there was a foul. I don't think there was, but Kafane got the better of him in that channel physically. Saliba tried to reel him back in, but he shrugged him off and Saliba went to the floor.
I think it's credit really to Christian Kafane that he's starting again tonight, considering Patrick Schick is available again, having just returned from injury, but he's the chosen man tonight.
Yeah, and honestly, he did well that well out there that I think Kasper Hjumlen had to think, I've got to start him again and see what he's done, and he's just shown there he's a real threat.
Eza trying to play the ball wide to Ben White on the right-hand side. There is a handball, I think, that the referee has noticed there, so it's going to be an Arsenal free kick. Still Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 2, and Manchester City 1, Real Madrid 1. The second half is just getting underway in that one at the Etihad. 4-1 Real Madrid lead on aggregate. Manchester City down to 10 men. Arsenal free kick quickly over the top towards Trossard. Takes it down, edge of the box, shoots right footed. Oh, it was bending. It didn't quite bend enough to beat Blaszczak, but Leandro Trossard nearly making a special goal of his own.
Yeah, from where we're sat, I was just waiting for that to hit the back of the net. We're right on that angle. Cuts inside on his right foot, bending it towards the far post. That is not far away, probably 2 foot, I would say. Blaszczak on that side of the goal was relatively happy to kind of see it sail past the post.
I don't necessarily think, Matt Upson, that was the body language that was fitting for the shot, really.
Yeah, it kind of had a little bit of a look of like, oh, that could be in. Yeah, and he was glad when it wasn't.
Leverkusen offering some intent in this second half as the cross ball in from the left-hand side is headed away by Saliba, but it's gone backwards, so it's required Ben White to head all the way to the byline, and on the half volley he pumps it up towards the halfway line, where Gyökeres is happy to make a nuisance of himself. He's barged his way past one, but Edmund Tapsoba had the run on him there, so he restarts things for Bayer Leverkusen from defence. Get too many Edmunds, do you, in football? I'm trying to think of any other Edmunds. Remember Eric Edmund, the Spurs defender? Do you remember him?
Yes, I do. I can't even think of a first name. Edmund.
No, Edmund.
That's the thought.
In fact, I don't know any Edmunds. Do you know any Edmunds?
No, not at all.
So Edmund Tapsoba playing the ball out to the left wing for Alex Grimaldo, and it's Palacios back to Tapsoba again. He's a Burkina Faso international, Edmund Tapsoba. Has actually played Arsenal before because he was in the Vitoria Guimarães side in the Europa League that came across Arsenal 6.5 years ago. So it's not his first time at the Emirates Stadium. Bayer Leverkusen just enjoying a little bit of possession just inside their own half with the captain Robert Andrich, who at this point last week in the tie just scored the opening goal with his header at the back post, but they try and quickly move the ball forward and it's misplaced and run all the way through to the man in all yellow, the Arsenal goalkeeper David Raya. They're 1-0 up Arsenal on the night, 2-1 on aggregate.
It's going to be interesting to see what their approach is as well, Arsenal. Do they still keep trying to work, press, force the issue, force the mistake from Bayer Leverkusen and get another goal, and then can really kind of just settle back and see the game out? Or do they just kind of sit somewhere between? At the moment, they're probably a little bit between. It hasn't quite had the same intensity the start of this second half as the first one.
Still fighting on four fronts, this Arsenal team. Eze turns it round the corner, halfway inside Leverkusen's half, gets it back off Gyökeres, into the box for Saka. Saka rolling his studs across the ball, up to the edge of the penalty area, and eventually squeezed for room by the 2 or 3 blue shirts of Leverkusen that were around him. And the Germans going from left to right in this second half. Go to Poku, but Poku's lost it, sliding at the feet of Eze. Gyökeres shoots from the edge of the box, and Blaszczak down to his left-hand side makes a routine save.
Not a bad hit from Gyökeres, got to have a go there. He's one-on-one, try and get a shot off, but Eze's looked very sharp today, I have to say. Lovely little flick round the corner just before that. The ball came into him, he just spun it with the outside of his boot, round the corner into Gyökeres. They've actually linked up quite nicely, those two.
It's an amazing turnaround for Iber Eze, considering where he was at 2 months ago and people questioning his very Arsenal future when he was on the periphery of this team.
I think, you know, just finding the change of gear to a club like Arsenal can be tricky. And I know he's obviously in the rhythm of playing in the Premier League and has been doing well in the Premier League, but it's such a different requirement. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to really settle in. He's still a little bit up and down with his form, isn't he?
They can't all seamlessly pull on the Arsenal shirt.
No, not many people can. Certainly when you're coming into a season where it's this title-winning pressure all the time. Every game's a slip-up, isn't it? Potential banana skin.
Arsenal avoiding the potential of that tonight with their 1-0 lead and Eze's goal. Bayer Leverkusen with the ball midway inside Arsenal's half, and the noise levels just going up again from the Emirates crowd, maybe just sensing that their team require them at the moment. The little dummy to be picked up by Palacios, and then Cafane with the layoff, and then the shot eventually was from Mazza, though he didn't really get hold of it there, did he, Ibrahim Mazza? And then Leandro Trossard has been hounded into that right back area by Cafane, and it's an Arsenal throw, and Leandro Trossard pumping his fists and raising his arms in the direction of the Arsenal fans to say, I'm showing the fight.
Yeah, just a little snippet though of Leverkusen football there, wouldn't it? Lovely play, little angles, 1-2 passes, forge their way into the box, and then Trossard just winning that battle on the far side with Cafane.
Of course, the Europa League finalists, weren't they, only back in 2024 in that amazing season they had when they went unbeaten throughout the whole of the Bundesliga campaign under Xabi Alonso, and then eventually lost that final comprehensively in the end to Atalanta, final that took place in Dublin. They've got a long way to go to get back on the road to Budapest in 2026 by Leverkusen, with this scoreline of 1-0 to Arsenal and 2-1 to the Gunners on aggregate. But it is by Leverkusen coming forward down the left-hand side. They're the challenge on Meza, picked up again by the Germans. Kwanzaa wants the ball, instead it's laid short for Tapsoba. But they're almost back on the halfway line now by Leverkusen. Andrich back to Tapsoba again in those bright orange boots. And then with the captain Andrich, the German international. And then with the right foot, the ball played out to this right side for Ernest Poku, who tries to run his way past Arsenal's left back Piero Nkapie, the on loan by Leverkusen defender, and they've worked this well. Grimaldo's in the box, he can't find the space to get the shot away, and on the volley it's cleared away by Nkapie, but by Leverkusen have got Arsenal slightly pinned in here.
It's a good passage of play, isn't it? They're finding one or two passes, getting them off, and then once they get into the box, they're getting smothered out a little bit. Arsenal defending the box really well.
Kwanzaa to the byline, low ball in, claimed at his near post by David Raya, with Christian Kafane no doubt in his eye line.
Yeah, it tells you how controlled the play has been, because Kwanzaa's up in the 18-yard box crossing the ball. I mean, he's the right-sided centre-back of a back three.
Former Liverpool defender in a team actually that won here in the FA Cup third round. Here's Saka for Arsenal. Trossard, who's had the one big chance of this second half for the Gunners, left-footed dinked ball in, which Tapsoba after the initial nod down is able to hook away. Quite sprightly, hasn't he, Leandro Trossard, throughout this game, popping up in different areas of the pitch. There he is again, winning the ball back for Arsenal, 20 yards outside the box. He's urged to shoot, instead he gives it to Eze. Eze tried to dummy it because he recognised that maybe a pass was on for Saka, and it was one bit of intricate play too much by Arsenal.
Yeah, Grimaldo tucked all the way in from the left wing back position, made a really good tackle actually, read the situation well.
They are making a bit more of a fist of this though, aren't they, Leverkusen?
Definitely, they're coming out with a bit more edge. I think they were maybe not quite themselves in the first half, couldn't quite get into the rhythm, allowed Arsenal to get on top and then start to apply the pressure. Second half, they come out with a little bit more fight.
Andrich shooting from the edge of the box, probably wished he didn't. Sent that a good 5 or 6 yards wide of the left post of David Raya. You can see a couple of Bayer Leverkusen changes that might be imminent, including the 18-year-old Montrell Kulbreath, who is a German under-19 international, only made his senior debut in December, but big hopes and expectations in Leverkusen for what he might be able to bring in the years to come. He's going to be part of a double change, not yet, because those two players are not quite ready to go. So Raya sends that ball forward from inside his own 6-yard box. It's bounced the way of Declan Rice in the Champions League Team of the Year last season. The Arsenal midfielder, probably mainly off the body of evidence of his work against Real Madrid here.
Yeah, stunning night, wasn't it? Incredible. It's funny enough, the referee just had a little word with Arsenal there for time wasting on that goal kick with David Raya and the two centre-backs. Just tells you a little bit about where this second half is at the moment.
It's only 13 minutes old. It feels a little early to be moving into those tricks. Arsenal in possession on the halfway line, with the goal scored by Bera Eze in the first half. A really lethal finish from the Arsenal number 10 in both the numbers on the back of his shirt and the position he's playing tonight. That's given away by Arsenal. Here is Kafane, 5 yards outside the Arsenal penalty area. His layoff for Terrier. Terrier was asking for it back. Instead it's come to the right side for Kwanzaa, who is not too far outside the Arsenal box. Poku from the right. It's gone back 15 yards for Andrich. First time ball with his right foot infield towards Garcia. Here's Palacios. Palacios dinking it forward to the left. Grimaldo with the crossing opportunity. And the ball is loose to Kwanzaa, but Kafane is deemed to have fouled Gabriel. A push in the back, and Arsenal free kick indicated by tonight's referee, the Dutchman Danny McKelly.
He does that well, Gabriel, doesn't he? When he gets that kind of contact and foul, he does go down quite easily, doesn't he, for a big centre-back, and just Kafane gets in the wrong side of him, puts his arms around his waist. Gabriel wins the header, but then just throws himself to the floor, wins that foul right in the middle of the 18-yard box and just takes the pressure off what's been a tricky 5 minutes for Arsenal.
Let's have a look at these two changes then for Bayer Leverkusen. I mentioned the young German youth international Montrell Kulbreath. He's on for Ernest Poku, so he'll play off this right-hand side, and the other change is Malik Tillman on for Martin Terrier, an American international, who does have 6 goals this season, and actually supporters of Glasgow Rangers will remember him because he had a loan spell a few years ago in Scotland from Bayern Munich, his first club, and he immediately takes a couple of touches on the halfway line and goes short for Garcia for Leverkusen, to that left wing for Grimaldo, but with nowhere to go. Back into the Leverkusen defence again with Tapsoba, who's on the halfway line. And ball returned to him from Andrich. Hour reached at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Bayer Leverkusen 0 here on 5 Live and via BBC Sounds, as Grimaldo makes a bursting run down the left wing, reaches the ball on the byline, swings it in. It's come to Tillman with the nod down, and then the clearance away by Gabriel ahead of Kafane. And Andrich goes backwards to Blaszczak, and the goalkeeper needed a good 15 yards outside of his box there to smash that away upfield for Leverkusen. And then the challenge on the halfway line by Kwanzaa, and it's an Arsenal throw on this near left side. Matthew Upson.
Yeah, Arsenal just need to settle into this second half a little bit. It's far too edgy for what they were hoping for. I'm looking at Mikel Arteta. He's really kind of busying around his technical area, like he always does, if I'm honest. I mean, whether it could be 3-0 to Arsenal or 1-0, it would probably still be the same. But there's just a feel to the game that Leverkusen are just getting a little bit too far back into this football match.
This is 338th game in charge of Arsenal tonight, and his team are in Leverkusen's box here. The ball across, oh, what a miss that is. How's that stayed out? Nkapé was at the far post, and Kwanzaa it was just about getting across his path to clear. And all of a sudden, from one end, Leverkusen come at Arsenal down the other. No, the space was not available for them to step into the challenger. A good one by Zubamendi. And Gyökeres carrying it forward outside the penalty area on his right foot, back on his left, deflection on the shot, off Andrich, and it spins away for an Arsenal corner.
Wow, end-to-end stuff in that moment there. The first clearance from Kwanzaa was unbelievable, to be honest. I mean, it was a certain tap-in, and he wraps his foot around it to get it away. He goes up the other end for a tackle, and then this one here with Gyökeres. Saka is absolutely screaming for the ball over the far side. Once he decides he's going to shoot, he just keeps his head down, doesn't quite get it up to see him. It's a shot with his left foot. I mean, it ricocheted off of the defender and out for a corner, so at least Arsenal have a corner, but it never really looked too threatening.
Gabriel Martinelli's got the tracksuit top off. He's taking a couple of big swigs of water down in the Arsenal technical area, so he's going to be coming on shortly for Arsenal. This is their 8th corner of the evening, and Bukayo Saka with Arsenal leading by Leverkusen 1-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate. Saka's corner in towards the near post, and the little flick on by Gabriel. I think, even though it looked like a poor corner, that was intended. Then Arsenal win the ball back. That wasn't intended by Leverkusen to present possession back to Arsenal like that. Saka trying to hound at the byline, and eventually the Germans do get it away. But in steps Declan Rice. It's set up for him nicely. Right-footed shot! He scored! Another Champions League goal for Declan Rice! And maybe the goal that takes Arsenal into the quarter-finals. Declan Rice slides on his knees, arms outstretched. It's another moment to remember for Rice. And Arsenal 2-0 up now against Bayer Leverkusen. 3-1 on aggregate. They look destined for yet another big Champions League night.
Wow, we've already seen one incredible goal in this game from Eber Eze, but honestly, I think this one might be better, just in terms of the tariff of the touch that Declan Rice has to have. He gets to the ball first, it's bouncing in front of him, he has a brilliant first touch, he then just sets himself again with his right foot and bends it right into the bottom corner off the post. I mean, it's out of nothing, like Eze's, both very similar in that sense. That is a super goal from Declan Rice, brilliant.
And a lovely bit of symmetry as well. Eze in the 36th minute, Rice in the 63rd. Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0, 3-1 on aggregate. And, just like Eber Eze, a first Champions League goal this season for Rice.
You going Eze's goal better?
For me, yes, but I absolutely get what you're saying about the brilliance of that.
It's got more of a wow factor, Eze's goal, for sure, because, you know, it's on the swivel, it's setting up on the volley, bang, it's bursting the net. That goal from Declan Rice is a brilliant piece of skill. The take It's a clearance out of the air. Not only does he get to it first in front of the defensive player, he's then got to control it on the half volley. He's running at full tilt, have another touch, and then to be composed to bend it in the bottom corner. It's just a great goal.
And now the Emirates has found a voice that has been louder than any other point tonight. Sporting Lisbon of Portugal for the winners of this tie, and right now that name next to Sporting Lisbon's in the UEFA Champions League bracket looks like it's going to be the name of Arsenal. Here's Grimaldo for Leverkusen, cross on the left, the header from Kafane, it's come to the far post, kept alive by Kulbreth, and then headed away by Nkapia on the edge of his 6-yard box, picked up again by Andrich, who is 35 yards from goal, short pass infield for Garcia, teed off for Tapsoba. They're working this from right to left, Leverkusen, but if it's going to happen for the Germans, you really do sense it, it's going to need to happen soon from here. And we know this Arsenal team just do not concede many goals, and they're preparing a triple change as well, Arsenal, shortly. I think I can see Mosquera down there.
Yep.
Who else have you spotted? Christian Norgard.
Yeah. And Martinelli.
I
mean, that can be, just to freshen it up, or also be interested to see who comes off. You can kind of guess. Big game. Cup final coming up Sunday, 2-0 up. I think Mikel Arteta feels that it's safe enough to make those changes now.
Manchester City League Cup final Sunday, live on 5 Live, 4:30. Kulbreth for Leverkusen, who've had the ball for the last couple of minutes, really since that second goal from Arsenal, but even though they're popping it round with some purpose, those in blue going from left to right, they're not able to penetrate this Arsenal backline, and Gabriel makes the interception on his chest and then hooks it upfield, brought down again by Kwanzaa. Back on the halfway line to restart things, the small frame of the Argentinian Palacios. Might be one of those pointless quiz questions. I mean pointless in terms of, not in terms of it being a bad question, but when you struggle to get the answer of something. Palacios, part of the Argentine World Cup squad, won the tournament in 2022. Might be one of those names that you don't really remember from the list of the 23, which I think it still was in that tournament. Here's Eza.
Pointless question.
Yes, it is. Here's Eza from the halfway line. He's carried this almost half the length of the pitch. He's now on the edge of the box. Eza chops onto his left foot, shoots low, and the block was by Kwanzaa, and he was the only real barrier to that Leverkusen goal.
Yeah, he was. He wanted the goal. Saka, who's worked hard all evening, to be fair, hasn't really had too much action in front of goal. He was crying out for the ball again, and I think Eza was toying with the fact of just luring the defender towards him, then quickly offloading it to his right into Saka's path. But in fairness to him, the defender didn't really commit. He just held his position and allowed him to keep running and running and running with the ball till he got to the edge of the box and thought, do you know what, I'll just chop it onto my left foot and have a shot, which is exactly what he did, and it was a decent block from Aldrich.
And had he scored that, would it have gone above the Eza and Rice goals as your favourite of the night?
No.
Let's not get carried away.
No, steady.
Right, let's have a look at these Arsenal changes then. Zubimendi's the first to come off, so Christian Norgard is going to be a straight replacement for him in the centre of midfield. Ben White also departing for the young Spaniard, Christian Mosquera. The last of those Arsenal changes, and Leandro Trossard, having just returned from that hip injury, he's managed 69 minutes tonight, and Martinelli replaces him as the last of that triple Arsenal change.
Declan Rice never leads the field of play, does he? He really doesn't.
Could he take him off now, do you think?
Well, I just don't think he ever gets much of a break, to be fair. He features in nearly every game and just keeps churning out the performance level. It's pretty remarkable stuff. Physically, he's an absolute machine, Declan Rice, because he gets all over the pitch as well.
Change as well for Bayer Leverkusen. In fact, Eza, who got injured, he's had to come off as well. That wasn't part of the plan for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta, but he picked up a bit of a bash after running through on goal there, so he's off. Kai Havertz, formerly of Bayer Leverkusen, of course scored the penalty last week, which felt crucial at the time, looks really crucial now. He's on for Eza, so that's 4 changes for Arsenal, all in a one-er. And an attacking change for Bayer Leverkusen, which they had to make really to go for this game. They've taken the midfielder Palacios off, and on comes their leading scorer, the Czech forward Patrick Schick.
Yeah, it's a bold change, isn't it, from Kasper Humlen, who has to do something. You know, his team are going out of this tournament. You've got to roll the dice, and he's done that by taking off a midfield player and putting Schlick on, and they're just going to try and have a go here. I mean, it's ideal for Arsenal, to be honest, that they come out and really try and throw something forward. They can hit them on the counter.
Chelsea are having a horrible night at Stamford Bridge. They're now 3-0 down at home to Paris Saint-Germain. Mayulu has got the latest goals, as Arsenal look for another one, which would certainly seal the deal. Gyökeres going one way, then the other on the left side of the box. He's clipped in the cross towards the far post, the downward header from Saka, and the ball forced over the line for a third Arsenal goal from Kai Havertz. His chest, his thigh perhaps, I don't know which part of the body it hit. Leverkusen wants a handball. Kai Havertz seemed to use every single bit of his body to force it over the line. It's 3-0 to Arsenal, and that surely does seal the deal.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on the replay. I think it hits his hand. It certainly hits Havertz, and he's got a hold of the shirt of the Leverkusen player. I can't quite see who that is.
It's Kwanzaa, is it?
No, I don't think it is Kwanzaa. Maybe it is. Anyway, he's got hold of his shirt.
That was Tillman, my apologies.
It's Tillman,
yeah.
sorry, yeah. And the ball that Saka heads, it bounces up and it just hits his fist, doesn't it? It looks quite clear on the replay, and I assume the VAR will spot that.
Yeah, well, they are having a look at it now, and indeed handball is the decision, so it is still only Arsenal 2 by Leverkusen 0. Didn't exactly peel away with great velocity, did he, Kai Havertz, having put that ball in, almost as if to suggest he knew.
Bit of a giveaway, isn't it? Yeah.
So Chelsea is certainly going out because they're 8-2 down on aggregate to Paris Saint-Germain. Manchester City are still 1-1 with Real Madrid tonight, so they still need 3 more goals.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, Havertz won't celebrate particularly if he scores tonight anyway. Didn't out in the Bay Arena when he scored, just out of respect to his old club, and yeah, was very subdued.
That's a really good point, Matt. So actually, of all the English clubs, even though Arsenal are 3-1 up on aggregate, this is the tie that's got the most jeopardy in it still.
Yes.
And there'll be even more jeopardy if Bayer Leverkusen can make something of this latest attack. Kwanzaa to the right side for the young Kulbreth, who does 1 and then 2 step overs and comes back in field for Kwanzaa, and then on by Garcia, a little tap to his left hand side for Tapsoba. Andrich forcing it forward back to Kulbreth from the right. First time cross from him. Rice wasn't too sure of his bearings, who was around him, and with the bottom of his studs he puts it out of play for a Leverkusen corner.
He's always in the right place at the right time though, Declan Rice. His instinct on the pitch is absolutely superb. Defensive instinct especially. Just gets into areas, reads a situation, deals with it, tidies up. Just been invaluable for Arsenal this season.
Alex Grimaldo was knocked out of the UEFA Europa League by Arsenal when he was at Benfica 5 years ago. He takes the corner, headed away at the near post by Gyökeres. That was warmly received by the Arsenal fans. Back out on this right-hand side again, the little run and the 1-2, and it's picked up well, but he can't quite take it with him there. Grimaldo suddenly appeared from the opposite side, and then Tillman, one of the Bayer Leverkusen substitutes, wins the visitors another corner, 2-0, and we're moving towards the last 16 minutes.
Yeah, I'm yet to see them with any cutting edge, this Bayer Leverkusen team though. I mean, now Schlick's on, he is more of a talisman, isn't he? More experienced in terms of in front of goal, but for as well as what they've played in moments in this two-legged tie, they haven't looked dangerous.
And it comes from Grimaldo, out comes Rara, he didn't get there, he flapped at that completely, the Arsenal goalkeeper. It went up and over his head, and then at the back post it has gone behind for a corner off Saliba.
Well, it's Gabriel who he collides with. Gabriel turns around and looks at him and says, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" Comes all the way out, gets nowhere near the ball, into bodies, and he's fortunate actually that it hits Saliba's knee.
Another one from Grimaldo towards the far post, which has deviated the way of Saka, and Arsenal will break here. Saka infield to Gyökeres, right in the middle of the pitch from his own half, moves into Leverkusen territory. He's got 3 up with him. The layoff, across it comes, and it doesn't quite reach those in the middle there, which were both Havertz and Martinelli, who were desperately hoping Mosquera could find one of them.
It was Mosquera, wasn't it, on the right, going all the way up and joined him. I thought maybe Gyökeres could have lent him the ball a touch earlier. I think he just waited, and when he passed it, it was just all on top of Mosquera.
They won't. I mean, it doesn't feel like they're going to rue these moments. The Eza one from 5 or so minutes ago, that opportunity there, but
no.
One Bayer Leverkusen goal would potentially test the fragility of this Arsenal team, but I guess the point needs to be made that they're not as fragile perhaps as they were last season and the years gone by.
No, I think one goal, okay, yeah, it obviously apply the pressure a little bit, but 2 goals from Leverkusen in how the game's gone so far would be a real surprise.
Against this Arsenal team that have not lost since the end of January, and actually have only conceded 32 goals in what is now 49 games. This is the 49th game of their season.
They've only conceded 5 goals in the Champions League, haven't they?
Yep.
Not a 10th match.
Yep, that's
conceded
right.
5 goals. Incredible, isn't it?
And the only team who've scored more than 1 goal against them were the Kazakhstani side, Kairat Almaty here. But that was a much changed Arsenal. I think that point probably needs to be made as well. As Mosquera can't reach the pass that was forced out to him from the middle of the pitch by Gyökeres, so it's drifted beyond his foot and out for a Bayer Leverkusen throw. Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0. Eza and Rice with the goals in either half. And we're just seeing, Matt Upson, a replay of that Declan Rice goal. It's the way the ball bends and then it licks the post, doesn't it?
You, aren't I?
You are. You are.
It's a good goal, isn't it? Really good goal from Declan Rice.
It's a great shot, Declan Rice running off to celebrate with a great big Arsenal flag behind him as part of those celebrations as well, which I'm sure we'll be seeing a bit more of in the days ahead, with Arsenal seemingly moving through to the quarterfinals of this competition, as they have tended to do in recent seasons.
Yeah, it was such a Rice-like goal, wasn't it? Just power play. That's exactly...
Corbest cross from the right, and the header from Quanzo found himself up there 10 yards out, trying to guide it across Raya's goal, got too much on it.
Yeah, he's got forward a lot, Quanzo. And I think, Bayer Leverkusen had that period of the opening 10 minutes of the second half, they started brightly. They had to make something happen in that period. They couldn't do that. Rice then scores, and yes, they're probing, they're getting crosses into the box, but they're just not looking likely to score for me.
I guess it's worth remembering they have flustered 2 English teams this season in the Champions League. Here's Saka running into the box, menacingly, right-footed shot, and pushed away. He was at his near post, Blaszczak, as he just palms it out for a corner to Arsenal.
Yeah, he was forced onto his right side here, Saka. He saw the midfield player recovering, so he couldn't step inside. He does a step over, he wants to come inside, and then realises the space isn't there, so has a hit with his right.
Month tomorrow since Bukayo Saka's last Arsenal goal. That was against Wolverhampton Wanderers. A couple in the Champions League already this season for him. Gabriel marching forward for the Arsenal corner. He stands very prominently about 2 or 3 yards outside the Arsenal penalty area. Mikel Arteta is animated as ever in the technical area. Saka's corner aimed for Gabriel, who then went towards that near post. Leverkusen trying to run it out of defence. That was slightly dangerous, wasn't it? Very hazardous play from the Germans, but they have got it upfield to Christian Kafane, who just hangs on to it, waits for a bit of support. And the supporters arrive now in multiple numbers, as Tillman, but his pass was poor, and Arsenal back on the front foot, though Declan Rice isn't necessarily powering forward with it this time. He was almost trying to be patient and wait for the run of Gyökeres.
Yeah,
Can't find the pass.
Feed him the ball in behind, but was just cut out quite comfortably, and here come Leverkusen.
And they've got it on the right hand side with Cool Breath, who tries to cross first time, the youngster. Blocked by Capie, and then swung back in by Garcia. That's one of the better balls of the night from Leverkusen, full stop. That was really swirling from Alex Garcia, and it's out for a Leverkusen throw on the far left.
It had a real bit of whip, didn't it, that cross from Garcia, who I have to say the 2 central midfield players for Leverkusen are nowhere near as influential as what they were in the first leg. They really did well in the tie. They've just struggled a little bit here to come to terms with this Arsenal team.
And they're certainly not as influential as the 2 that Arsenal started with in the middle of the park tonight.
Absolutely not.
2-0 Arsenal lead. Taps over, swirling it in. Kafane jumps, got a little bit on it, headed away by Capie. And then Coolbreth and Martinelli involved in a tussle for it. Coolbreth giving away the foul, sending Martinelli to the floor. Free kick to Arsenal, 2-0 and 3-1 on aggregate. 10 minutes to go at the Emirates Stadium here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Champions League highlights for you on BBC One tomorrow from 10:40. You can get all the goals online as well shortly before that tomorrow night. And we'll have live commentary of 2 Champions League games for you on 5 Live and BBC Sounds tomorrow. We'll be in the Nou Camp for Barcelona against Newcastle. 1-1 from the first leg last week at St James's Park. That's from 5:30. And Liverpool against Galatasaray from 8. As well as keeping you up to date with Tottenham Hotspur against Atletico Madrid. Here is Havertz lobbing it into the penalty area. Gyökeres, bouncing ball, difficult one for him to bring down. Tapsoba hooking it away. Kafane trying to hold it up. He's got a strike partner now in Schick, who comes short to receive it. The layoff for Garcia in the centre circle, just inside his own half. A right-footed ball out to the right wing for Coolbreth. We've seen a fair bit of the ball actually. Montel Coolbreth since coming off the bench for Leverkusen. Back to him by Tillman, who's got the black gloves on. And now Garcia, not coming out to block him, but he didn't need to in the end because Garcia's cross has come off the back of a stooping Declan Rice. Back to Coolbreth again, still trying to keep the pressure on Leverkusen. Kwanzaa trying to take Martinelli towards the byline, and chops back inside, goes back to the edge of the penalty area. Andrich has got it now, the Leverkusen captain, and once more on this right wing with Garcia, but Arsenal keeping themselves in shape. Coolbreth just about keeping it himself. Onside his floating cross, hooked out of the air by Raya, who quickly tries to get it downfield for Havertz, and outside of his penalty area, the goalkeeper Blaszczak decides he's just going to nudge it past Havertz.
Yeah, it was calm in the end, wasn't it? Just waited and waited and waited. Everyone thought, oh, there's a little incident happening here, and then stepped in and lifted the ball over Havertz. It was cool play from Blaszczak.
Percentage chance do you give Bayer Leverkusen from here of even getting 1, let alone getting the 2 they need for extra time?
Yeah, you can't say it totally, but it just feels a bit over, doesn't it? I mean, I'd be so surprised if they get something.
Garcia's cross into the penalty area. Gabriel with the header away, and Saka with a bit of help from Mosquera. Clear it out for a Leverkusen throw in front of those who have made the trip over from Germany tonight. And they're going to make another change here as well, the Bundesliga side. Here comes Eki Fernandez, the Argentine in his first season with the club, having joined from the Saudi Pro League side Al Qadsiya. And it's Robert Andrich who is coming off here. He's put the armband on the left arm of Alex Grimaldo, so the centre-back removed, and Eki Fernandez, who I guess is going to play in that hybrid role now, perhaps between centre-half and defensive mid.
Yeah, or they'll just go to a back 4 and think, right, we'll just put on another midfield player and just throw one of those players a little bit further forward, or we could play with 2 centre-forwards right high up now.
Leverkusen throw from the left, infield for Kwanzaa. 2-0 to Arsenal. Eze and Rice with the goals in either half. Grimaldo's cross from the left wing, a deflection on it, and a bounce into the grasp of Raya, who bowls it out directly to Rice, who's happy just to use his frame and his pace to power away from Garcia. Just makes it look so easy, Declan Rice.
Yeah, he's just a dynamic, powerful runner, isn't he? When he gets going, he just looks like he could glide past anyone. And Arsenal are happy to sometimes just defend. I mean, I'm looking at Gabriel, Saliba, Hincapié. They just love soaking up the pressure. They like that back 4 where you can imagine them in training, just hours of back 4 movement sessions, clearing crosses, getting positions. They're so efficient. You've got Rice in front, just reading everything. Even if they are under pressure, and Leverkusen have had the ball predominantly the last 10 minutes or so, Arsenal are happy with that. They trust their back 4 and goalkeeper to be able to just soak it up and not concede.
He reminds me of a prime racehorse, Declan Rice, which is very appropriate given we've just had Cheltenham Festival.
Well, he's the horse, isn't he? That's what that's what they nickname him here after. Well, I played with a guy called the horse called Oleg Luzhny. Do you remember him, the right back?
I do.
He was nicknamed the horse at Arsenal. I think Declan Rice stole that one just from the similar way, the way he used to canter up and down the right hand side. When he went galloping, no one stayed with him.
Kafane shooting from the edge of the box. It's wayward of Raya's goal. Gabriel had made a a barrier of sorts to cut down the angle for the young Cameroonian, and it spins out of play for a goal kick. Arsenal 2, Bayer Leverkusen 0. I do remember Oleg Luzhny. He's one of those sort of more underrated players of that era,
Definitely.
I think, for Arsenal. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, we signed him from Dynamo Kiev. We played against him in Dynamo Kiev in the Champions League when they beat Arsenal when we played at the old Wembley, and he was sensational in that game. And I think Arsene Wenger just signed him off the back of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just seen a shot of, talking of new talents, just seen a shot of Max Dowman on the Arsenal bench. They used him tonight, Mikel Arteta, which he probably didn't want to, really, given the euphoria of the weekend. Don't want to overexpose the 16-year-old, do they, as Tapsoba inside his own box sends it upfield towards Schick, and then it's eventually bounced the way of Kulbrecht, slightly fortunately on this right wing for Bayer Leverkusen. How long have we got left? 4 minutes in North London. Arsenal leading Bayer Leverkusen 2-0 on the evening, 3-1 on aggregate. So it really needs to happen soon for Bayer Leverkusen if they're to give themselves a passage back into this game, as Kulbrecht, deep on the right, tees it up, the swinging cross from the substitute Fernandes, and caught again by Raya, who's made so many straightforward catches, hasn't he, from wide balls.
It's been pretty comfortable for David Raya, certainly in the box. He's really commanded that box well.
Martinelli, 6 Champions League goals for him. Closing in on Thierry Henry's record in a single season of 7 for Arsenal. Mosquera has got very high on that right-hand side, tries to pull it back in the direction of the Bukayo Saka, and eventually it drops the way of Tapsoba, and Bayer Leverkusen are going to play their way out. He's almost doing as much attacking work, Christian Mosquera, as he is defensive. He's found himself in high positions a lot since he's come on. Here's Schick from about 30 yards out, and let me to ask Scotland fans what he can do from distance. Schick's giving it to Tillman. Tillman for Kulbrecht in the box. Tries to get it back. Oh, what a stop, Raya. Kafane came onto it, and the ball was heading for the top right-hand corner of Raya's goal. And the Arsenal keeper, who's been under-deployed for most of the night, has made an excellent save to keep this situation calm for the Gunners.
Yeah, well, at last, Leverkusen have put a chance together, and it's a really good hit and a top save, I have to say. It's a hard finish to open his left foot out as the cross comes in and just try and guide it to the far post, but Raya does brilliant.
Leverkusen corner is cleared away, and then the shot from the edge of the penalty area, long way off target from Ibrahim Mazza. He's hoping for a bit of the sprinkling of the Eza magic.
Yeah, well, it wasn't there, was it? I mean, Arsenal haven't had much of the ball since Declan Rice scored, have they? Really? I mean, it's been all by Leverkusen.
But they're content with that, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they have been. I mean, but probability says if you don't have the ball enough, eventually you concede a good opportunity, which they just have done. Luckily, David Raya was ready and, you know, up to the task of stopping that. But it is a dangerous game, because as well as you can defend, there are some things you just can't defend. And when that happens, you know, you can get caught out.
There was a game here against Brighton that I was at, Matt, and you'll have to forgive me for not knowing the exact dates, but it was 2 or 3 months ago now. And Arsenal have been relatively comfortable in the whole game, and then all of a sudden, right at the end, with a 1-goal lead, Brighton fashioned this chance from nowhere, and Raya made a brilliant save. Yeah. Same end over towards our right-hand side, and you thought, that is the mark of an excellent goalkeeper, to be so quiet and then to step up like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a few Arsenal fans around us that are departing as Victor Gyökeres, hustling and bustling as ever. He loves to do that, doesn't he, the Swede? Wins Arsenal another throw. It's still Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 3 at Stamford Bridge, 8-2 on aggregate to the Parisians. And Manchester City look like they're going out as well to Real Madrid. They are 1-1 on the night, 4-1 on aggregate against the Spanish side. So it's only going to be Arsenal on this Tuesday night in terms of the English clubs, the Premier League teams who are going to be heading through to the quarter-finals. And I'm sure that Newcastle and Spurs and Liverpool fans won't appreciate me saying this, but there is a possibility that Arsenal are the only English team in the quarter-finals.
Possibly. I mean, have to wait and see.
Victor Gyökeres, the last of the Arsenal changes tonight, and Mikel Arteta just shoring things up with the introduction of the 19-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly in his place. No goal for Victor Gyökeres tonight, but he's led that forward line well.
He has, and I think he's slowly getting better, if I'm honest. I mean, the goals, he obviously wanted a goal, and I think his record has been okay this season, to be honest. But his performances and his hold-up play is getting better.
He has got 16 goals, Victor Gyökeres, and he has taken quite a lot of criticism as well throughout this season.
No,
but
I agree.
16 is a pretty good return.
I
at this
agree.
stage.
It's more goals than what you would think. So, I think all in all, if Arsenal do win the title, I mean, the signing has completely worked, hasn't it? And he's scored some important goals against teams where Arsenal were kind of drawing 2-2 at home against, you know what I mean? And he's made the difference in those games.
2-0 to Arsenal. We're in stoppage time, those 4 minutes, as Martinelli's cross is blocked, and behind it goes for an Arsenal corner. And there is very much a sense from not just the Arsenal players, but the Bayer Leverkusen body language now. They know that the exit door is looming for them in the Champions League in 2026. And it certainly will be if Arsenal do something more with this corner as well. Mention those games: Barcelona, Newcastle, Liverpool, Galatasaray, both of those live tomorrow night on 5 Live for you, and at different times as well, so you can enjoy a full night of live European football, as well as the updates from the Spurs Atletico Madrid game. Aston Villa against Lille on Thursday as well. We'll have that live for you on 5 Live and via BBC Sounds in the Europa League. So Arsenal corner in stoppage time with a 2-0 lead, 3-1 on aggregate. Rice right-footed, high towards that far post, headed back across goal and pushed away by Blaszczak. Saka collected on the right-hand side, and Gabriel, who was high up there, was the one who was trying to keep everything active. I mean, he has found himself on the end of almost everything tonight from the Arsenal set pieces. Shock horror.
Yeah, what a surprise. It's like a magnet, isn't he? Just attracted to him, but it's not a mistake. You know, the instinct that he has in those areas is second to none, really.
So Arsenal a couple of minutes away now from dispatching the one-time Champions League finalist Bayer Leverkusen back in 2002. You'll remember that final for that brilliant Zinedine Zidane goal. One of the greatest ever Champions League final goals, I think.
It was, yeah.
Mind you, Gareth Bale might have something to say about that. Arsenal hunting for one more goal with some tired Bayer Leverkusen heads and minds, though. Taps over, smoothing over the cracks to win it back in the left-back position for Leverkusen. And they work it across their back line with Kwanzaa. Here's Garcia on the halfway line with the yellow boots, coming infield, the little Spaniard, and the layoff for Tillman. 1-2 between him and another of the Spaniards, Alex Grimaldo, and then it's going to be a Leverkusen corner, blocked by Mosquera to send it away from the delivery from Ibrahim Mazet.
Yeah, last little bit of defending now, and they're just desperate for the clean sheet, Arsenal.
The corner was taken quickly, and Coolbreth has it taken away from him by Hincapié, but it's back with Fernandez, who has swept a ball out to that left-hand side for Grimaldo. Leverkusen have got 5 in blue inside the box. It's behind Kwanzaa as the delivery comes in, and Martinelli's the one who's able to shift it away for Arsenal. And now the chance of Wembley rippling around the Emirates, with thoughts now turning to League Cup final on Sunday against Manchester City. What an occasion that is going to be. Live on 5 Live, 4:30 kickoff. Arsenal against Manchester City.
Yeah, it's almost the ideal performance and result as well, isn't it, for Arsenal before that game.
Here's Schick. Schick's pass too heavy for Coolbreth, who was high on the right-hand side, out for an Arsenal goal kick. And we are now in the final few seconds, and I think once David Raya has got the ball and has sent it upfield, that will be that.
That will be it. And it's a good night for Arsenal. I don't think Mikel Arteta could have asked for more. The goal from Eze was big in the first half.
Doesn't even get the chance, David Raya, to take that goal kick. Arsenal smoothly into the quarter-finals of the Champions League on a night where, frankly, they were unflustered by Bayer Leverkusen, and they progress with 2 splendid goals. Abera Eza with the half volley from outside the penalty area in the first half, high up to the right of Blasvish, and then Declan Rice with a sublime finish of his own, collecting the ball in his own stride on the edge of the penalty area and slotting it into the bottom left-hand corner. And from there on in, it was a calm, composed, collected Arsenal performance, and another step towards possible history for the Gunners. 2-0 they've won it on the night, and Arsenal beating by Leverkusen 3-1 on aggregate. Matt Upson.
Yeah, such a solid performance from Arsenal. It had everything that you'd expect from what they've delivered this season, to be honest, but it had an added ingredient of two absolutely top-class goals, which were the difference. Real Champions League level individual pieces of skill from Eze and from Rice separated the two teams. Arsenal were the better team, but dominated throughout a lot of the game in many different ways, but the two finishes from the Arsenal players were absolutely Champions League quality.
And you're right to pick up on the point that this is the perfect entrance really into Sunday's League Cup final with Manchester City. Doesn't appear to be any injuries. Mikel Arteta was able to rotate his team in the second half with a multitude of substitutes. It's almost like this is the way he would have wanted it to play out, a clean sheet as well.
Yeah, I think so, and I think, you know, the first half goal from Eze was big, allowed them to go in second half and just a little bit more settled, and then once Rice gets that goal, they can just really, I mean, they just defended, which, okay, you're working, but it's so much harder working when you have the ball moving, running off it, trying to create something. Mentally it's more challenging as well, and I think the foundation of the team is so strong, they can just set back and then see the game through, and it's a great opportunity to then make changes, which Mikel Arteta did.
And we've had a lot of talk, haven't we, in the past week, given what happened in the Champions League a week ago, about what's going on with Premier League teams. Are they as dominant as people say they are across Europe? And actually, they were just a level above a very strong Bundesliga team tonight by Leverkusen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're not playing PSG or Real Madrid, so, you know, that you'd have to say is bumping up to that next level, but Arsenal clashing with one of those two teams like that's going to be a very interesting game this season, if it happens.
And if it does, it won't happen till the final, as discussed. So we sort of know a little bit more of the route now for Arsenal. They are going into a Champions League quarter-final against Sporting Lisbon. So those two games will be played over the weeks of the 7th and 8th of April and the 15th and 16th. And then, of course, it will be either Newcastle or Barcelona or Atletico Madrid or Tottenham Hotspur in the semi-final, should Arsenal be able to take that next step.
That will be interesting, won't it? I mean, a lot to go through. Newcastle and Barcelona, that's going to be a cracking game tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. But Arsenal are in a good place. Good side of the draw, shall we say, if that does exist at this level, at this stage of the competition. But they just want to focus on winning today and the cup final, and it's a habit, isn't it? It's a habit that this team has this season.
And after Sunday, maybe the whispers of quadruple, if it goes Arsenal's way, will get a little louder. Thank you very much, Matt Upson.
Thank you.
We'll be hearing a bit more from you after 10 o'clock shortly, so stay with us here on 5 Live. It's finished Chelsea 0, Paris Saint-Germain 3 at Stamford Bridge, so the champions PSG through to the quarter-finals on aggregate of 8-2 against Chelsea, so that's an astonishing win for them. And Real Madrid have scored very late on again at Manchester City, so we knew they were going through anyway, but they have sealed it with another goal from Vinicius Junior. So 2-1 they lead on the night, 5-1 against 10 men Manchester City tonight. Thanks very much for your company this evening here on 5 Live Sports Extra. That's it from our coverage here at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal with thoughts of the League Cup final to turn to now on Sunday, a game you can hear live on 5 Live against Manchester City, into the quarter-finals of the Champions League. But stay with us here on 5 Live. We'll have more reaction from here and those other games involving the English clubs tonight in Europe, rounding up everything that has happened on this night of continental football. But for now, from Matt Upson and myself, Chris Wise, we will see you soon.